All right. Good night, everybody. Welcome to Comics Asylum Live. My name is Steve. I'm here with Adriano from Pesto Comics, and we are going to do some deep dives into some pretty cool topics where it comes to comic books because there's a lot of going on. We've got crossovers. We're going to have a special guest, Omar from Wayside Comics in Newmarket, which is a little bit north of Toronto, not too far, but just up Highway 404. And he's got this amazing idea that I can't wait for him to kind of get on board and talk to us about. So I'm going to throw it to you, Adriano. How you been? And I also know that you've been an international star of sorts.
Yes,
So
that's right.
you can dive into that if you want.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Adriano, everybody. Hi. Yeah. So I've been in Italy for a week or two. It's kind of threw everything off for a little bit. And we were saying before we got on, the reason I was in Italy was I was bombarding my brother's honeymoon. Uh, which sounds worse than it is. The truth behind it was he was there for 3 weeks, and I used it as an excuse to join them. So I went for dinner with them in Bologna, and then we kind of went our own way. And then I followed them to Venice and spent a day with them there. But 2 days out of a 21-day trip, but still, it was their honeymoon, and I kind of invited myself to it. So
Oh,
a lot
okay.
of fun doing that.
Okay, Omar, you've come on a little bit after
Hey guys,
Adriano
Hey,
dropped
how's it going?
some news. But Omar, first, how you doing?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
It's great. We're chilling, talking comics. Interesting family dynamics. Adriano just dropped a story that I can't quite believe, but it's all cool. And we can't wait to hear what you've got going on because for those of us who are not familiar with Omar, he's a previous guest, but he also runs Wayside Comics in Newmarket, Ontario. An amazing shop. It's like a haven for creators, and you're doing great things. And we just want to hear this amazing initiative that you've got going on. But before you go there, Adriano, how did your brother react to you being on his honeymoon?
He invited me. His wife invited me, actually. They were both like, "Come on!" Like, we always planned to meet in Bologna. It was going to be one dinner, and then while we were there, it's like, it's only an hour train because I was staying in Bologna. I'm like, it's only an hour for me to come join you guys in Venice, and they're like, "Come on
Right.
down." So I was on week 3 of their honeymoon, so I think they were, they're
So you
happy
were
to
the you
have
were the
some.
break. You
I
were
was
the
the break of the. Yeah, so I brought some variety to their honeymoon. But yeah, if it was week 1, that might have been a bit much. So definitely, yeah,
It's all
uh,
good. Yeah,
planned it well. But it is kind of funny to tell people that I was there on my brother's honeymoon because
sounds
it sounds horrible.
no, it doesn't. It's all about family. Vin Diesel says it's all about family, so it's all good.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
You're in
So
Italy, man. It's all about shared plates, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
so Omar, how are things on your side? How's the shop?
Good, Steve. Good. We're just trucking along, doing our thing. Just really working at launching a couple of new initiatives, like we talked about. And yeah, I mean that's the big thing with the shop right now is we really want to do something. I've been in the works for a long time, and I haven't pulled the trigger on doing this yet. But now it feels like it's the right time to do it. So really launching an initiative to help people, I guess, learn and create, and especially right now as we enter the winter months, get out of kind of any, like, it's the best time to work and get stuff done, right? So we really want to push for an initiative to do that, and we have a lovely space that can host this kinds of things, and we know a lot of amazing people. So yeah, we really want to do something special. The shop is doing all right, but we just want to like hit our next level. It's one of those things, and I'm never really satisfied with where we are. I always want to do that next thing or keep building to something, and this is the next something for us.
No, I totally understand that, and I think Adriano and I are kind of in the same boat when it comes to wanting to keep pushing. Like you reach one level or you meet one goal, and it's like, well, there's another one because you always know that there's something in front of you that you want to achieve. And I think that what you're doing is amazing. And Adrian and I have had this conversation about how loaded Southern Ontario is when it comes to comic book talent.
100%. It's always crazy to realize how many amazingly talented people are around us, like not far. And just like Canada in general is full of amazing talent for so many things. But yeah, there's so many comic creators, and it's one of the things I love. And we get people to come into the shop, and people are like, "They're from Canada," and like, "Oh, they're more local than that." It's like it's this huge disconnect for, especially like younger people. I have a lot of younger people who like are dabbling in comics and starting to draw and doing all that, and then they get to meet some of the writers that they've been reading. Like when we had Ryan North in the shop, like people were like, he lives in like Toronto, and it was kind of wild. So like it gets the younger minds going, like I don't have to live in the States, I don't have to be in LA or New York or somewhere else, and you can do this from anywhere. And that's kind of the beautiful thing about it, and that's part of why we want to do this creative think tank that we have in the works.
So Adriano, do you have any questions for Omar?
Yeah, no, it's not so much questions, but just comments. Yeah, this is something we've been talking about for a while. That when you did the Creator Con last year, one of the best things was the networking, right? Was getting everybody kind of in the same place and talking and talking shop and doing all that. So I like this. It's a great extension of all that kind of thing. So yeah, it sounds like it's of the same vein, but it's a little more writer focused from what I understand. Is that right?
What we're launching first is writers. So like the general thing for anybody who hasn't seen our post or anything to give the pitch for it is we basically want to use the shop and use it as kind of a creative think tank. We know so many amazing creative folks. Like I have a background in story editing and a bunch of things from film and television, and I really want to put that education forward. We've done things like life drawing and a couple of art lessons and comic seminar here and there, but we really want to push forward with that and kind of see who we can get to combine our efforts and just give people a space to not just create but motivate and learn more things. And I mean, the thing about this industry that's so fascinating, and I talk about this with some artist friends of mine, it's everyone's kind of always in their room working, or it's very like focused. You're usually in studio or whatever it is, and when it's con season, that's when you get social, and that's when you really have a chance to talk to people. So you don't get as much of that when you're actually just like working on projects. So to get that going, I think, and keep people social and keep people motivated, I think is an important part of it. So we're launching our initiative, our think tank initiative, with a writer's room, because that's my background, is working on that. And again, with not just myself, but Allison Danger, who runs Wayside Creative Publishing for us. She does all of our books. She's going to be joining in on that writers group as well. But yeah, we're doing pitch to pages. It's kind of where creativity meets accountability. So getting people to sign up and having people read your pages and being accountable for creating stuff, I think is very important, because it's really easy to get into a creative slump and not be able to get out of it. There's nothing worse, especially from the writer side of things, to just look at that white page and just not feel it on the day. But if you have to know that every week you have to put something out there, and like you have to, even just like reading other people's stuff and seeing how they're doing and giving people notes, it's all a part of the process. And there's nothing better than being in a room with other creatives and just being able to spitball stuff, get the whiteboard out, map stuff out, and really kind of put the work in. And again, we're doing pitch to pages, so we want to teach people how to pitch, get your log lines in, get your synopsis in, get your outlines in, work like on a treatment, because everyone needs different things to get going. And then like to page, so we have like screenwriters signed up, we have people doing manuscripts for like prose novels, we have a kids book in the works, there may be one comic book in there as well as even a video game. And yeah, we're doing it over the course of 8 weeks with a 2-week break during the holidays. But for 8 weeks, we're just going to be working on it, and we're going to bring in some guest speakers as much as we can. So have somebody either in person or zooming in and providing feedback as well. Because that's the other thing. It's the more new voices you have, like perspective is such a big thing for these things. And yeah, we want to do the same thing with drawing and art and all these kinds of things as we go and build. Like we want to do like a course on lettering. We want to do a seminar about, kickstarting and like self-pub and all these things. Because we know, again, we know so many people, and like so many people, when I put the post out about doing this, we had such amazing feedback and so many people chiming in to be like, I'd love to do a seminar, I'd love to do a talk, I'd love to teach a class. And I think it's a beautiful thing when people are helping each other.
No, it looks great, and it's kind of interesting because there's so many like kind of rabbit holes that you could fall down when it comes to being a creator, especially if you're doing it as a self pub. So it's like, okay, you figured out the lettering, you figured out the art, you've got the writing down, but then like, how do you format the pages for a printer? Right?
Mhm.
And then who's the best printer to go to and what rates are acceptable and what's the print quality of the paper. There's so many decisions that you have to make that will ultimately affect the end product that, something like this as just as a resource for people, whether you're on day one or in the middle of your journey or you're established, there's always something to learn.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's the
for
thing. You
sure.
never stop learning. You can be someone who's been doing this for a long time, and someone else is going to give you that one nugget that's going to propel you on to the next thing. I mean, you were talking about like how you always want to. In creativity, there really is no ceiling, and that's the thing. It's as much as you want to give it, and everything leads you to the next thing. I always say like the hardest thing, especially for writers, because like that's what the first focus is, and it goes the same with art. Done is better than perfect. Being finished something puts you 90% ahead of everybody else because you have something to work on. Writing is rewriting. I love that like quote from Hemingway, the first draft of everything is shit. Like just get it done. Get it done and then rework it. And sometimes, the story you think you had mapped out is not the story you decide you end up telling. And that might lead you to even the worst ideas you have now. You might look at it in a month or two and be like, you know what, there's something there. I'm gonna cherry pick that. We're gonna find something and it turns into something. So that's what we're hoping comes out of this. And especially like with the writers, we really want to work with, again, not just the creative side of things, but I think it's really important to work with the publishing side of things, because Allison's also worked with like Lev Gleason, and she's seen the horror side of things and seen the really good side of things, working with them. But I mean, even from a screenwriting standpoint, it's like, what are people looking for? Like understanding why it's important to have like a pitch package. If you're doing television, why a Bible's important. I mean, 90% of the time, we had one of the guys come in just to like get to know the space. He'd never been in the shop before, but he signed up to the writer's room. So I was talking to him a little bit. And he didn't understand why like pitching or like log lines and all that were so important. I'm trying to explain to him that, when you give your script to somebody, that the producer or whoever is reading it, that's not the person reading it first. They're most likely have an assistant. And that assistant, they have like a pile of scripts. I know like producers they might read 2 pages and be like, this isn't interesting and toss it. But if you can get them hooked from like a synopsis or an outline or a treatment or something that gets them out like with 1 page, that's going to keep people reading. So there's all those little things that you have to keep into consideration when you actually want to get things made. Because it's one thing to create something, it's another thing to sell yourself. And that's a very important thing. And when you're selling yourself, I think it's also very important to have people who are behind you and tell you, no, like go out there and put this out there because it's good. And that was when I was doing my thing for story editing. That was the biggest thing I found is you just need to motivate people to understand, just everyone always says, oh, how did that get made? Or how did that get published? It's because they put themselves out there and they did the legwork. At the end of the day, they have something out there and you don't. And usually 90% of your block is yourself. So, trying to find that fire in people to push them to do that, I think is very important, especially with self-pub. Like you really have to, it's not about just putting up your Kickstarter. Like there's so many other little factors, right? Like you got to get your mailing list in. What is it that most Kickstarters get funded within the first 48 hours, I think is what they say, especially if you have a mailing list, that's most of the people who are going to be signing up. So really talking a little bit as well about the business side of things and not just the creativity, I think is a hell of a resource for people because it's a thing that they don't think about sometimes.
Yeah, Adriana, you can speak to that because you do a great job of, kind of getting into the weeds of getting your name out there, making sure your mailing list is up to date, and it's like an organic living thing that you need to kind of increase your reach. So like, kudos to you for doing all that also on YouTube as well as Instagram. So what are some of the things that you found in your own writing rooms and stuff?
Yeah, it's so to the point of that is consistency is one thing. Like that's very important, but it getting through those blocks, like Omar was saying, like getting into a room with people who all have the same similar goal or same goal as you is invaluable, right? it may feel like if you're like not sure about it, or you're worried that you're going to get into this room and people are going to tear you down, and your writing's not up there, like that's the complete opposite of any experience I've had in a writer's room before, right? Or in writing groups or anything like that. If anything, it's very motivating because everybody there has the same goal, right? Everybody there wants to come out with better work, right? They know that it's not quite there, it's not quite what they expect, so they need that extra step, that extra push, and everybody's in that room for the same reason. So I imagine with Omar's program here, it's going to be very, very similar, that everybody's there to kind of push each other, to make each other succeed. So yeah, we need more of this kind of thing, right? So I'm glad Omar's doing this, because we don't have it so much for comics. We have a lot of it for writing books and novels and all that kind of stuff. Like those are very easy to find all over the place, but that's pretty much it. Like if you're not writing a novel, good luck finding a writers group, right? You might find some for screenplays if you're lucky, but when it comes to like comics and games and all the other stuff out there, there's not much help to be had, and then you become kind of the odd duck in the room. Which again, writing comics a lot of the times myself, that's usually me, right? I find myself saying, people don't know exactly how to help, but they think it's cool. Well, that's about all you're gonna get of it. So it sounds like, Omar, you're building something that's a little more well-rounded, and you could come in with whatever project you got and really get the help you need, which is really what the whole point of these writer rooms is that everybody's trying to lift each other up. So yeah, if you're ever unsure about it, like I highly recommend doing anything like that, like a writers group, writing sessions, any of those kind of things. But yeah, if you're up by Newmarket, 100%, like you need to check this out.
Yeah, for sure. And Omar, how can people sign up? I'm not sure. Is there like a limit, a cap on the class? Like, how is it?
So we are capping the amount of people that we're putting into the first room. This is kind of a pilot for us, so we're going to see how it goes. So we're capping it at 8 to 10 people, just so everyone has enough time to work as well, based on the projects that we have. We have about 4 spots left in the group so far, so we've had a pretty decent turnout as we go. And before I continue, I just want to say, like, for anybody who's not signed up to Adriano's Substack and follows him, there's a wealth of information that he's putting out there. It really is, like, I actually really enjoy whenever you put out something, and I always read the Substack and I always get something out of it. So kudos to you for putting that out there, because there's a wealth of information in there for anybody who's wants to get started. And like, you're so honest about the way you present everything, which I think is so important. You're not sugarcoating like what a bad con versus a good con looks like, or like a good, like, because you have to have a little bit of everything. And let's face it, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes you don't make your table fees back. Sometimes for some reason people just aren't buying that day or whatever it is. And like I really appreciate that you unglamorize kind of this thing, because it's really easy when people are walking around a con be like, oh, these people have it made, look at all these people, like they must be selling all kinds of things. But you talk to some people do great, some people don't. It's that like fine line between everything. And I always say, like, the best part about, since I started this, because I wasn't like an indie guy when I opened the shop. Like I was reading like the big two and Image and all that kind of thing. But I like the independent community was so kind to us when we opened, and like getting all these writers and artists from Ontario, they were also welcoming and wanted to come up to the shop and like be a part of what we do. We've made so many friendships along the way. An industry like this and a community like this really rises with its own people, and we all prop each other up to try and give everybody just that little bit more. And that way is how we grow as a community. And it's been fantastic. That's why I love carrying everybody's books, and I like having people in. I mean, I think this year, what we may have gone. So we like to bring creators every Saturday into Wayside from about 11 to 4. And I think we've only done 8 weeks in the whole year so far where we haven't had someone in on Saturday.
That's impressive.
So like, I really do try to make sure that people are always like coming in and engaging. I always say Newmarket's not the best comics town, but it's a really good support local town. And people are here who come in they engage. And all it takes is them to see the table and they want to learn a bit more. And if, we can maybe get you 1 or 2 more people like following you, I think that's a feat all on its own. So every single person counts, right? And when you build those relationships with people coming by the table to look at your stuff, and chances are they are going to follow you and they are going to buy something whenever they see you. You've built that relationship. It's more than microtransactional, especially when you're doing these kind of showcases in a shop where it's a little bit slower and you have the time to talk, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, yeah, I love coming to Wayside. Anytime I have an excuse to, which is not often enough, but it's always a good time there.
Well, we
Yeah,
have some
so
spots open in December, man. I'm still looking for people. Either you guys want to come out.
I may take you up on that. We'll see. Well, I gotta explain that to the wife, but we'll see.
No,
For sure.
definitely. It sounds it's great, and we're going to be spreading the word on it for sure.
Thanks, man.
It's amazing because I'm not sure. Adriana and I tabled beside each other at TCAF, and it was amazing how many kids would just come by, and they check out the table, but then they're like, "How do you get in? Like how did you start?"
Yeah.
Like there's a hunger out there for people who want to do this, if not as a profession, at least as maybe a side hustle or something. But you have to have like those skills and know where to start, or else you're just swimming in like a sea of information, and it can be daunting knowing where to begin.
That's the problem, I think, with like having the internet at your disposal. Sometimes it's a wealth of information out there, but it's an ocean, and you
Yeah.
don't know where to start. You don't know where the good places are. So when you're getting it from the horse's mouth, it matters so much. Like doing all these seminars, if you want to get into comics and you're at a con and they do have seminars, like go. Like this, the best thing you can do is hear from people's own experience about how they're getting things done or what their journey has been through all this, and it's an invaluable resource. And also learning the little things that are maybe less glamorous in the industry, because everyone's like, oh, I want to be a writer, I want to be an artist, but like you guys said, formatting pages, lettering, there's so many little things that can also impact the way your story's told. Like there is a true art form to lettering that like can really impact the way like the weight of the words that you're putting on the page is interpreted, and it's a wild thing. And sometimes you're reading something like, I don't know why that hit me so hard. It's because the lettering is doing it in a very subtle way. So again, there's just so many little subtle art forms in the industry, from like, again, you're penciling, inking, doing covers, you're doing your sequentials, you're writing, your bubbles, all that kind of thing. It really is so many different facets, and learning each one is as its own thing is always a beautiful thing. I always say, like, check out Scott McCloud's books. Those are to me, if you want to get into comics any way, shape, or form, or you just want to like appreciate the medium more.
Oh, we lose Omar.
I think we might have lost him.
Oh no.
Yeah,
He was on a roll there too.
He was on an awesome roll. But he's correct though, and like even on like I'm on Blue Sky, and I think it's Blambot that's on Blue Sky, which has amazing little tutorials about lettering and how not to place bubbles in certain areas and stuff. But the thing is, can you get that? Oh, okay, we did lose it, but hopefully he'll come back in. But what you hope to get is not just snippets of information, but like someone kind of like almost holding your hand through the process, because a lot of it's trial and error. And with the margins for comics and how expensive they are to produce, it's pretty easy to kind of burn through any kind of funds. And Kickstarter's not necessarily a guarantee if you don't have a certain profile.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and what's really missing, and what you get with these groups, really, what you get both with the writing groups and like meeting people at cons and having these conversations, is the steps beyond being a beginner, right? You can get all the information you want about how to start. That's easy to find. You can find that all over the place. So it's like, now you've made your comic, now what? Right? And that's where everyone seems to get stuck. At least everyone I talk to, that's the hard part, because there isn't, like, once you've done I've put a comic together, and maybe you put it on Kickstarter or you do whatever, but like you figure out how you're going to get it out there, then what? What do you do with the second one? How do you pay off? Like, how do you make enough to pay off the first one, or when you do the third, and all that kind of stuff, where how do you keep this sustainable beyond just repeating the same actions over and over, right? It's learning all the ins and outs and all the tricks and those things, and you're only going to find that out through other people, right? Through having conversations, through trial and error, unfortunately, a lot of times. And that's going to be some investment on your end, both in time and money and effort, right? But it's that there's no easy answer once you've figured out the beginner steps, right? Like, everyone can tell you how to put together a page, how to write a script, all that stuff. It's the then what, right? That there isn't a guidebook for, right?
Yeah, who do you ship with?
Yeah, exactly, right? We don't end up next to each other at the con. We never talk about that, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah,
So
like it's definitely the case. And Omar's going to kick back in, but we're talking about writing, right? So I just want to I want to bring in one thing because it'd be interesting to get his take on it. Working in the industry as well too, and then also branching into I think you said television and movies. The James Bond reboot apparently is going through some hiccups, and the writers are stuck. They don't know how to unkill him, I guess, or undead him, realive him. Let's put it that way. And so I might have been on social media that I came across it, but I was like, really? One of those. It seemed like a good idea at the time, kind of thing,
mhm.
right? And Omar's back. So let me bring him back to the stage. Omar,
Sorry, guys. Internet crashed, and it's perils of being in a 100-year-old building.
it's all good. It's all good. We were just talking about writing, and I guess the new James Bond reboot is going through some issues because they don't know how to bring him back for because I guess Amazon owns them now, and
That's right. They do that.
right. And we were just mentioning you having your experience in as a creative and working in the entertainment industry, and it's like it's not just these issues don't just crop up for beginners. It's established writers on established IPs that have these same kind of dilemmas. There might be more at stake because you're dealing with a huge industry, but it's just as important to the person that's starting their own comic book for the first time, or maybe doing the fourth issue of their IP, as it is to these people that are running franchises like Bond and the DC EU.
The problems are all the same. The scale just changes because, like you said, there's just more at stake. When there's money, it's a little different. I mean, for James Bond, what do you got? You have probably like 14 people in a room plus producers trying to figure this stuff out before they, get an outline for something and then get like one main scriptwriter or two main scriptwriters to do that and then probably rewrite it to death. But I think, like you said, as a creative, it's important to know that it's the same issues everybody's going through. Like, the creative process for screenwriting is the same creative process that you're going to go through for like manuscripting or writing comics. I mean, everyone hits walls and trying to figure the same stuff out.
No, most definitely. And just take a quick look at this article here. It says writers tasked with the next James Bond film are facing what insiders describe as a huge creative headache as they attempt to bring the British spy back after his on-screen death. The 2021 No Time to Die ended with Bond dying in a missile strike following exposure to nanobot poisoning. It was the first time in the franchise's 6-decade history that that 007 was shown dying rather than surviving at all against all odds. So the death has prompted debate among authors, critics, and fans alike. It raises questions about how to preserve continuity, maintain canon integrity, and balance audience expectations with creative plausibility. Writers are reportedly exploring multiple options, but a clear solution has yet to emerge. So everything that I just mentioned there, that's stuff that Marvel and DC, especially when they kill characters left, right, and center, they go through all the time. And usually results in a number one or some sort of a miraculous resurrection. But you're dealing with pure fantasy as opposed to just until recently an unkillable secret agent.
Yeah, I think the trick to this, it's always people will believe anything if the story's good enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can wash it away. Say, oh, he found a corner to hide in. Found a corner to hide in. Now let's tell this awesome story that you're gonna absolutely forget everything that happened before it, right? So I think it's an excuse for everything else. I feel that they're probably having a hard time cracking the story in general, right? That they're saying, oh, we can't revive him properly, and that's why we can't get a good story together. Because honestly, you could easily wash that away and just say, well, anyways, James Bond, and let's get into this new story, right?
Yeah.
Ignoring that they've
Lazenby,
already recast everybody multiple times, and
didn't
Right.
Lazenby in his
just a
first?
reboot?
what's that?
That's
Isn't,
that's
isn't
that's a
every
good
James
point.
Bond just a reboot of the same thing? It's just a mantle, really. They could always
Right.
put anybody else, or it's the ultimate MacGuffin. It's like, how did he survive? And that makes him a
Yeah.
legend.
Yeah.
Yep.
You never actually tell anybody, but like that's kind of the secret that he's like pushing through, or maybe it was some really stupid way. But I mean, it's fantasy, like you said. They can just with recast. I don't think there ever has been James Bond continuity unless it's within the same actor. So
There
Yep.
was with the first three, because Lazenby's in a weird way goes, this never happened to the last guy, which is, I guess, a wink and a nod to the actor change. But Roger Moore's Bond, if I remember correctly, went to Tracy's grave, who died in the Lazenby. So it's his wife. He went to his wife's grave and is mentioned as well, too, in The Spy Who Loved Me. I think that's a thorny issue, but like it doesn't come up in any of the others that I can remember. So, you know, there's always that thing of like, it's a code name. And so everyone is it's just a new James Bond.
Yeah.
All the
But they
time.
undid that with Skyfall, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything can be undone, apparently.
But Omar, I think you're right. Where it's just like, whatever, new mission.
Yeah.
next
Right?
movie.
Yeah. If the story is good enough, people will forgive anything. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So
Which is funny because they have so much scandal about casting like a black James Bond or a female James Bond or a younger James Bond. If that's the whole thing they're going for, I mean, I don't understand why they just can't start fresh in any way, shape, or form.
Yep.
well, my point of view is, aren't there more than like at least 9 agents? I think there's more, right? So just tell the story of another agent, right? Like you expand it, especially if it's going to be an Amazon series.
I was gonna say, I'm sure that's coming. I'm sure there's gonna be the television show with 005 and
Which would be kind of cool, right?
oh, for sure.
So
if they do it right. But yeah.
let 005 be a woman. Let 009 be someone of East Indian. Like, think of all the British colonies that are out there. You can't go undercover necessarily as Idris Elba in certain regions. He might stand out. He'd be an awesome Bond, but if he's 009 or 008, that'd be kind of cool too.
Yeah, right. There's ways around everything because it's all make believe, right?
Which could be so fun. So Omar, I want to switch now because there's a new. I think it dropped on Wednesday. There's a new Batman and Deadpool crossover.
Here
we go.
Oh yeah. All right. Let me give you the full stage here.
There we go.
So drawn by my man.
It's 21 alternate covers.
Sorry, what did you say? 21?
I think there's like 20 variant covers for this book. Yeah.
My goodness.
Okay, so as a shop owner, right? So you're running an LCS. How the hell do you manage 21 variants? And I'm sure there's like, you got to order this to get this low run one, right? So how do you
this one didn't have that many. I'm a smaller shop too, so I don't order like 100 of anything.
Right.
I ordered heavy on this one because the last one did also really good for us, and I felt like I underordered. I have very strong opinions about variant covers in mainstream comic books. Yeah. I personally I hate them. I don't think there's anything special about a variant cover. Like, I love incentive variants because it gives people a reason to spend the extra money to get the, cooler cover, if you will. It makes it special, and it makes you as a buyer, as a customer, be like, oh, I got that one that less people have, and I spent the money for it. When you have like 8 other covers for something, and arguably this one might be better than the one you're paying $25 for as a 1 in 25 or whatever, it takes kind of the, I don't know, it takes the piss out of the whole thing a little bit for me.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, everyone wants cover A because that's the one that's worth the money for collectors in the long run. And there might be one, like the Daniel Warren Johnson Wolverine 400 cover. Like that was the big cover for that. But that's because it's Daniel Warren Johnson. For a book like Batman Deadpool, all the covers sell well. Like, I'm sold out of pretty much, I'm down to 7 copies, and I ordered about 45.
Wow.
Like for the floor. And again, I'm not a big shop. I don't have the foot traffic some other shops have. But people are buying multiple covers, and this is more of like a fun issue that they don't get to reprint very often. They might do a second printing of this, but they, it's Marvel and DC. Like they'll do 1 or 2 runs and then they will never print it again, or they'll do like a 15-year anniversary or something. So for variants for something like this, I get it. It kind of lets people. The variants here are very playful, which is very nice because it's like, oh well, I'm going to put these 2 characters together. I'm going to put these 2 characters together. And, it's like I'm looking at one right now. It's Amanda Connor doing Hulk and Harley having a hot dog eating contest. Like,
right, I've seen that one. That one's bonkers.
It's just like fun covers for everything. Most of them are Batman and Deadpool. And
can you bring that one up again? Can you bring the Amanda Connor one up again? Yeah.
But
Coney
just like fun things for people to be able to. Yeah, Nateman's infamous Coney.
I have a follow-up for you. So you said how you feel about the variants. How do you feel about the blind bag situation going on?
Ooh, good question.
Well, see, I know exactly why blind bags are big, and it's the same reason why people watch other people on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok open packs of cards. It's a dopamine hit. It's that it's like gambling in very small stakes. And the thing is, when you're buying a blind bag, like look at the Batman ones, like they did that smart because every cover was a foil cover. So the cost of admission, if you were paying the street price on it, no matter what, you were making your money back in theory, in like terms of what things would normally cost on the shelf. So you weren't really gambling.
I think you may have frozen again. That 100-year-old building. It's a
really doing dirty today.
Yeah. Well, I think he's back. Yeah. There you go. That 100-year-old building is striking out hard on you, man.
It is. Sorry, we're also apparently haunted here. So like, I have like 2.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
They're wreaking havoc.
So has the Marvel and DC crossovers, these recent ones, have they done anything for sales?
Oh no.
Oh no, he froze again.
Pocket that one. That's a good question.
Yeah. Because it's just interesting that, I'll pull up what this present issue has. It looks bonkers. Like it's like I almost can't wrap my head around what the story is. And it's like Batman and Deadpool merged together.
Dead bat. I haven't read it yet myself, so I can't vouch for what's in there, but
right. And Batman's most unhinged upgrade yet is a Deadpool fusion called Dead Bat. All right, so Omar, you're back.
Yeah, sorry, I just switched Wi-Fi networks, hoping it's gonna do something.
Nice.
No worries. So my question to you is, have the DC and Marvel like these crossovers, have they done anything for sales?
Yeah, they sell extraordinarily well. Like they do. Like I said, I ordered like 45 floor copies and I'm down to 7. So that's pretty amazing. And again, people are buying these multiple covers, they're buying them in bulk. I had one person pick up one of every cover today.
Wow.
So that's always nice to see. But again, if you do like a regular book on the shelf, that's usually not the case. So for these bigger books, for these anniversary books, as I call them, when something special is happening, when the synergy's there, it's like, I'll always order big because there is a big draw for these kinds of things. I mean, who doesn't want to see Batman and Deadpool fight, or, again, the Hulk and Harley have a hot dog eating contest or something like that. But it lets them play in a different way, and I think that's also important. I think books like this really return to fun comics. Like it takes the seriousness out of Marvel and DC and lets them kind of just have fun and run rampant, lets the writers do their thing, and lets the artists draw characters that they love that they maybe wouldn't put together, or they only put together in sketches, and like have a good time doing it. So more power to them when they do these things. But I mean, there's also things like JLA Avengers, which I to this day is like a comic book I love to read. I think that has like one of the best battles, like just most well-rendered meeting of the minds between like Captain America and Batman when they're about to get into a fight. I think that those panels from George Perez are just unbelievable, and I love that story. I think it's a fantastic like piece of fan fiction.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember, I'm not sure, it might have been sometime in the 90s when DC versus Marvel hit. This is before, I think it was called Amalgam.
Yeah.
And Claudio Castellini was setting the art world on fire, and he had like a Thor Shazam fight or something like that. And it was just like, we were in awe, all of us who were trying to draw back then, of this guy's skill set. I think Dan Mora is probably top artist, one of the top artists, arguably today, and so he's kind of perfect to be a part of this as well too, for this crossover.
I always say Dan Moore is kind of like this generation's Jim Lee. He draws superheroes the way you think superheroes should look.
Yeah,
and that's what Jim Lee has always done well. He's just like, you think of superheroes, and Jim Lee does it. Like, that's what they should look like. Dan Moore does the same thing. But yeah, I remember that when that Marvel versus DC came out. As a kid, it was always blowing my mind. But I remember that they had it in the books where you were supposed to call into a hotline and cast a vote to see who would win in the fights. So when they had the Wolverine versus Lobo fight, the artist and the writer couldn't figure out how to make Wolverine beat Lobo. So they just they're in a bar. They disappear under the bar, and then Wolverine just pops up. They're like, there's no logical way for this to happen. So
no.
we're going to figure something out. But yeah, I missed a little bit more of that interaction that they had back. And even things like how they killed off Jason Todd. The fact that people were calling in. I'd love to see a little bit more like interaction between the fans and the bigger publishers, like they used to do a little bit.
So I'm going to throw something out there. Was that kind of like American Idol or whatever it is before American Idol, where you could like vote for whomever you wanted to to win, or because it's just a competition, it's a popularity contest, right?
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
And I can tell you, the first couple of years that I was watching American Idol, I was like, wait, that person didn't make it. Same thing with Survivor. It's like they didn't pick them, and it's why I think Simon, don't want to give that they don't need any more publicity, but I think Simon was like, this one woman, great voice, but like she wore the wrong dress and then she got eliminated. And I was like, but who cares? Like, she sounds great. But it's the whole thing of being a star that is what they're building.
It's also drama. Like, it's the reality about reality TV is that it's very unrealistic behind the scenes. No matter how unscripted it may seem, and some moments are unscripted, they usually have everything kind of mapped out. And I hate to burst anyone's bubble who's like watching reality TV and being like, oh my God, there's so many shows where they already have like the winner picked out, and they're just like kind of telling the story with the people, and they're telling them, or they'll be like, no, this is how you dress on the show, and this is how you're going to do. We want you to be this person, or we want you to be that person. It's kind of funny, especially when they're doing those, because I used to transcribe those interviews that they would do.
Right.
You know, they're filming stuff afterwards, and it's just you get all those leading questions from the interviewer being like, so tell me, did this make you mad when they did this? And I'm like, no, not really. No, but like, I want you to tell me. Like, I want you to really get into it and like do the whole thing. So it's really funny. It's, again, we're always sold the illusion of all these things. And at the end of the day, it's the fantasy that we all love, and all this exists in so many other places too.
Yeah, it's funny because it's all about the illusion. It's all about how whatever you're reading or watching makes you feel. And I think you're right. There's sometimes a bit of a disconnect where they don't give you what you want, if you understand what I mean, right? So you're reading a Hulk book and you're not getting the Hulk. Or you're reading Ninja Turtles and you're not getting whatever you get from that. And I think with these things, and maybe it's just the state of the industry, there's a concerted effort to kind of reach out to the consumer and to the fan. And it's not so much as like we know better. It's almost like an embrace with some of the stuff they're producing now.
Yeah, I think for the longest time, the feeling people had was people don't know what they want, right? So we're going to tell you. And then it was always a little bit skewed, a little bit different, which I get. I mean, you can only tell the same story so many different ways, and so you have to mix things up, and you don't know what's going to hit, right? So you take some risks, and people are right now, they have enough risk and concern in life that they're like, you know what, just give me Batman fighting Deadpool. Like, let's just make it simple. Just tell me the silly story. I just want, I want almost what I expect. Like, you could surprise me here and there, but don't take these big swings, right? But if they don't take the big swings, there's a whole bunch of stories we'll never get, right? The last time I was on the show, we were talking about all the Spider-Verse movies, right? And Miles Morales and all that. Like, that doesn't happen without any big swings, right? So it's a mix. I think it's all cyclical. Right now we're going back to the comfort food era of things, right? And doing what's safe, doing what's fun, but like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I'm loving the hell out of it, right? Like, it's been great. The whole DCKO thing with, let's just everybody fights. Why? I don't know. Stupid reasons. Everybody just fights each other because, right? It's everybody smashing together their action figures. But sometimes that's good. I think it's the time for it. But yeah, eventually we'll come back around and be like, I don't need to see Batman fight Superman again. That's boring. I want to see something different, and then we'll be in a whole new world of things again.
Yeah,
is that why you're Pesto Comics? You're giving people that comfort food?
That's right.
Naked kaiju woman. There you go.
Yeah, that's right. Give people what they want.
Absolutely. So, Omar, you said that your favorite was JLA Avengers. That's one of your favorite crossovers, right?
Yeah, I'm a huge George Perez fan. So,
okay. You and I talk for days.
I used to draw when I was a kid. I used to try to draw like George Perez, and unfortunately, I can't draw anymore. But he was one of the people I always loved and emulated, and just the amount of stuff he could fit on a page, and the storytelling, and his characters looked like people is a big thing for me. Like, they weren't just so glamorous, but they still looked amazing. There was just something about it. It wasn't it wasn't so refined. It was a little dirty at times, but it was so good and had that veneer when the heroes were heroing, and when the people were peopling, it all looked great too. It's like Bernie Wrightson or Alex Toth, when you're looking at them, when they're just drawing people. My favorite part about comic books, and it's why I love old Spider-Man in particular, I love the melodrama in between the action. Because I think the action is why you buy the comic. The melodrama is why you stay reading that series, or why you embrace those characters, or what makes those characters matter to you. So when you have artists who can really draw them like people with their feet on the ground, and not just like soaring through the sky, I think that it just makes a connection. And that's why I've always loved George Perez's stuff. Even like, I don't know, seeing him draw Superman or his Wonder Woman run or his Avengers runs, there's just something about them that just felt like they were, their feet were touching the ground, and I could empathize with that.
Yeah, I think the example I keep bringing up, the recent example, is the Superman movie. And like, what's the best scene in that movie? It's Lois and Clark arguing in the room, right? They're doing that interview and they're having that argument, and there's kaiju fights in that movie, and there's interdimensional whatever. And the best scene in the movie is them two arguing in an apartment, right? And it's the melodrama, it's the relationships that really make the whole thing, right? That you built so much character in that like 3 to 4 minutes in that one scene, and it's my favorite scene in the whole film. And it has,
how do you bring humanity to icons, right? How do you bring humanity to gods? You do it in the melodrama. It's the little things. It's if it's something that's happening in everyday life, and you're seeing like your favorite characters do that, that's what I think really sells them as your favorite characters. That's why so many people like identified with Spider-Man when it came out. It wasn't just he's a young person with problems is how they always sold him, but it's because he had, he wasn't good at doing things. In the first couple issues, in the Ditko issues, he's kind of a dick.
He's a dick.
He is. He's kind of a dick. Like, he's very, the world owes me stuff, and like, I'm better than this, but he has that chip on his shoulder as someone that age would. It's that, your parents gave you life advice and you're like, oh, what do you know? Mm-hmm. And then, 10 years down the road, you're like, you know what?
I get it now.
I see where you're coming from back there.
That's right.
But it's the same thing, yeah. Like, I love Wolverine when he's out of the costume, when he's doing like the on the street stuff. Not like, it doesn't have to be like the patch side, but like, I love the Greg Rucka Wolverine run for that, where he's just like a dude in an apartment reading old novels because he's getting away from all the X-Men heroing, and he's just trying to solve these like small things that are happening here and there. Even like old Punisher is like that, and I think that really endeared a lot of characters to a lot of people.
It's interesting that you've both mentioned that, because I just recently, and I'll play a clip later on from author Ellie Pyle, who is working with Pug W to kind of do a behind the panels for the Secret Wars series from 2015, Jonathan Hickman's run. And we were just talking about Marvel and how, like, the differences between Marvel and DC and whatnot. But she mentioned that Marvel's characters are people, like, they're character first, power second kind of thing. No, I'm just paraphrasing her there. And that's one of the reasons why, I'm a Spider-Man fan, and I like them because I was a kid and I could relate to Parker's kind of, ups and downs and trying to do well, but never kind of succeeding. But then I also like Bruce Banner and how tortured he was. And then I liked Luke Cage, but it was not their power sets so much. It was the personalities in those books, right? So you could read Spidey, but then you could also like Daredevil because you've got that tortured kind of character, but he's not Wolverine. And that's why I think the X-Men and FF work so well, because you have all these personalities kind of bumping off of each other, creating internal conflict, and then they also have to go save the world.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's the the fact that it's people have, even you could say with either, really. Like there's always the argument that Marvel's a little more people than DC.
Yeah.
DC's the gods and Marvel's the people.
Yes.
But even so, they build the characters so that you care about these events that are happening to them, right? Like it's not just them punching things, because you just flip through that. It looks cool and it doesn't stick, right? It's the depth of character that makes you care that they're punching these people, makes you because especially knowing that they're going to win, they're going to come out the other side of it. Like it's not just, oh, are they going to die? No, they're not going to die because this book isn't ending today, right?
So that illusion.
Yeah, exactly. It's the illusion, and it's the other things that they want deep down, or need deep down, right? That they're trying to get through this fight, right? There's something they're trying to prevent, that's something they're trying to get to, and that is what feeds everything, right? So if it's just like action for action's sake, that's very frivolous. You'll get over it very quickly. But it's these characters and the depth that they build behind them that makes them worth following, right? So
most definitely. So Omar, you've got JLA Avengers. Give me 2 more of your all-time favorite crossovers.
Favorite crossovers?
Yeah.
From the big 2 or just anybody?
Any. I'm gonna pop up some later, and we can I didn't even know they made that.
Jesus, now I really gotta.
Okay, you can think about it. We'll let Adriano kind of jump in. I'm sure
you jump in. I gotta look at the wall for a second. My brain.
Oh, you could cheat. I see.
You know what that is? That's old school Google. That's what that is.
Use your resources, guys.
Let me flip through the stack here. Yeah. What's a good one? I like, so I don't have a specific one, but everything that the Turtles have been doing lately, they have like a crossover with literally anyone. It's incredible. Like I think the latest one is Naruto. Like they're really just like any character is fair game. We're gonna do crossover. They did a Stranger Things one at some point. Like I haven't read all these, to be fair, but but I appreciate the gusto to just be like, you know what, screw it. The Turtles and everyone. The Power Rangers one was great. The Batman one they did, I think, 3 times now because it was so good. And they even made a animated feature with the Batman and Turtles at some point. So yeah, I think that's my overarching answer is the Turtles versus anyone, because they always surprise me. I think the Godzilla recently, like
Godzilla's been everywhere.
Yeah.
I got 2 for you. So I've really been digging what Marvel's been doing with the Predator crossover stuff.
Right.
Like Predator Wolverine was amazing.
Yeah.
Black Panther was good. Predator Spider-Man was amazing too. That was for Marvel, who does red band books, and they're just like, oh, you can't read this because we have to put it in a bag. It's so violent. I don't know if you've read Predator Spider-Man, but on like page 15, he's like holding a man's like face that he's cut off over his. Like, it's pretty wild, and that's like not in a bag. It's just like anybody could grab that. Yeah. But I really enjoy like those kind of crossovers, like the Batman Predator stuff back in the day by the Kuberts was also unbelievable. I think like anything Alien Predator that they've crossed over has always been really good. I think because those characters have, like the Xenomorphs have such a cool mythology to bring them to things like the Alien Avengers book from Hickman. That book has no right to be as good as it is. It has one of the darkest scenes I've ever read in a comic book. When spoilers for anybody, but there's a scene with someone's eye and some alien blood, and the way they panel it, where the panels go like fade away as like it gets closer to it's unbelievable. That book has no no reason to be. And if I don't sell you on that, just like Mr. Sinister with a face hugger gun, that should be enough.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, like all of those have been bangers so far, and like they've been doing really well. I haven't read because I've missed a couple shipments. That I got a shipment or two lost in shipping. I haven't read the Captain America Aliens one, but that's also I've heard like very, very good. So yeah, the stuff they're doing with AVP, always classic. And then let's not forget one of the OGs for all this. Archie has had some epic crossovers.
Okay,
Archie Punisher.
Archie Predator,
Archie Punisher, man.
Yeah, well, dude. Recently, the Jay and Silent Bob issue was amazing.
Oh yeah.
That's
The
right.
Archie Jay and Silent Bob issue, and that's in continuity within the View Askew universe, which is what makes it even more wild that it's like within continuity. But you got the Afterlife with Archie stuff. Like you have all kinds of things that were really well written when they jump out of the norm. Like all the Afterlife with Archie stuff is also pretty fantastic. But the crossovers is like Predator, Punisher, Jay and Silent Bob. Those are always a joy to read. And the nice thing about those is that they're short and sweet. Like they're not even miniseries. They're usually like one issue. And speaking of Jay and Silent Bob, I mean, they are going to have that big crossover with the Marvel Universe coming up, which is what aptly named Jay and Silent Bob Fuck the Marvel Universe.
Nice.
They start if you've been reading your Marvel sequentials, they're actually popping up in the background of different Marvel books now as like nonsense. Like they'll be in the background of like a city as it's getting attacked. They'll be running on the street. I think their first one was in like Wolverine 13 or something, where they're like he's in a bar in Madripoor and they're just like having a drink at a table,
Which makes sense.
Yeah,
that's perfect for them.
Yeah,
the
those
ones that I liked were some of the Star Trek ones as well too. I think Silvestri drew one of them, and there's like Star Trek versus Planet of the Apes. I know there was Star Trek X-Men. I think that's the one that Silvestri drew. I liked obviously the old school ones like Superman, Spider-Man. The one that I don't have any time for is Batman Hulk, even though it was drawn by an absolute like god with Garcia Lopez. When Batman kicked Hulk, he was trying to, they were fighting, and Batman dropped some gas pellets or whatever, and Hulk goes, I'm going to hold my breath. And Batman judo kicked him in a spot, which made him automatically open his mouth and have to inhale. And I was like, you'd break your ankle first. I'm sorry. There's no pressure point that boot's going to get through. But he's Batman, right? So you can do whatever.
Yeah. I love the one of my favorite covers of all time, just because it's got that game within it where if you can like catch like all the background characters. But Superman Muhammad Ali, that was a great issue.
Man.
But that Neil Adams cover, oh my god! And then like he has when they did the reprint, they had like again, I think they all have the legend. And they show you like all the faces he put in the background of famous people. It's just a fun book to look at. Yeah, and also a fun story too.
Yeah, it's a fun read. It's a fun read. And when you think about it, it's like there's that, and then you get your contest of champions. There's something about boxing and wrestling that are just timeless, but also connected to comic books, right?
It's that tournament format of books. It's like video games, books, whatever it is. It always makes you want to read it because you always immediately want to know who's going to win or who can. And that's why DC KO, I think, is killing it right now. Like last year, Absolute Power for DC, kind of a stinker for sales. But DC KO right now, because everyone wants to see like who's going to win in this fight or that fight or what's going on. And they did the thing where I think online they've crossed over with other publishers and stuff to do other fights, which is, I mean, some people hate it, like come into the store, but some people love it.
Yeah, because I think Homelander was mentioned as like one of the crossover characters and stuff like that. So, Yeah,
they have I can never remember the name of the bear from it, but from Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, that's also a crossover character they're doing. Yeah. Which if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees is a gem.
All right, I have to check that out. And I think, again, getting back to the fun aspect that we had been mentioning earlier, this is what you're asking for as a fan. Like when you think of all the debates, if you've ever walked into an LCS or you've been on the floor of a show, there's always some argument over Batman can't beat Superman or Superman can't beat Batman or Green Lantern is stronger than whatever. And so DCKO fits right into that. Like it absolutely feeds that kind of like challenge motif that you're talking about and the endless arguments that fandom have.
Yeah, it is fandom in a nutshell. I mean, it starts at a young age. It's whether it's kids in the school being like, "My dad is stronger than your dad," and then like you want to see who the strongest kid in the schoolyard is, and then it keeps going and
Right.
going and going. But again, comics need to be fun. Like there's a time and a place for like very intellectual comics, and there's also a time and a place to let comics breathe and be comic books. That's why I love one of the books I really liked in the last couple of years was it Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was just a book that was fun. There, like you got like original Justice League, you had the original Legion of Doom in there, you got Kong, you have Godzilla, you got Superman fighting Godzilla, you have got the King Kong with a Green Lantern ring. It's all very silly, but it's just fun. If you want to just like look at like cool comic book drawings and a fun story that's just going to entertain you for a little bit, like that's what that is. And I think like even books like Batman, Deadpool, again, same thing. It's you want to see those characters cross over because it's those debates you have at the shop or at home or what with whoever with, and it's just fun. And that's the thing. That's the thing people forget. Comics are supposed to be fun at the end of the day, and it's nice to let the medium breathe. It's I think why the Superman movie did so well is because they let comics be fun again. They let comic book movies be fun. It doesn't always have to be so dark and serious. You can have characters that feel a little out of place, and you can just jump right into the story, but you can just have a good time.
Yeah,
and
most definitely.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't always have to, like, the thing that's, again, the cyclical nature of things feels like there's always a need to build towards something. We always have to build towards the next thing. And you can't even enjoy the event you're in because you know it's just going to lead to the next event and it's endless, right? And it's just, when do we get to the end of the story? And the answer is never. That's the whole point of this, right? It's all second act. But it's that feeling of like, okay, like this event isn't an event in itself. It's an event that leads to the next event that leads to the next event. So, with absolute power and all that stuff that wasn't selling, it's that feeling of, okay, well, you just gave me, night terrors and all this stuff that went nowhere, and now we're doing this, and it just keeps like building onto things that just, yeah, they just, it's just a bridge to the next thing and doesn't really have a point that it's getting to, where DCKO is like, the point is they're going to fight and at the end someone's going to win. And yeah, it may lead to the next event, but you're getting some kind of story that's just like, this is the point. We're telling you up front. There's a big fight, and at the end of it, there's going to be a winner. The end. That's the story. That's the event. Enjoy.
And I can tell you from a retailer's perspective, I have so many people who have gone onto that book that are like, I want every crossover issue because I need to know who wins this and who wins that. And that's a great thing when you're selling books. You want a series that makes you want to read the crossovers, that doesn't just do the thing. Because like this is a weird one, because normally like I hate the crossovers because you're like they should be able to tell the story and the main arc of whatever story they're telling. If you're doing, it's like Civil War, just tell the main beats in Civil War so you don't have to read everything else. If you do, it's just an addition to it. For something like this, everyone wants to get into the little nitty gritty of everything. And that's where like this is a comic made for fans, for the fandom. And that's what makes like I think a book like DCKO really, really cool.
Yeah, agreed. It's the, like you said, it's not the requirement that you read everything. Like you can get the story without reading every crossover, but if you want to know how it happened, then yeah, like get the crossover. And it's kind of like you said, you can get the story just with the main line, but if you want to really have fun with it, then yeah, you're encouraged to get the books that would fill in those gaps for you, where yeah, something like Civil War, like if you're not reading front lines, you've missed a chapter, right? Between 2 and 3, like you don't know. Who is this? Why did this happen? Why is this person missing an eye all of a sudden, or whatever, right? Like what did I miss? And it's because there was a 7-part series in between these 2 issues that you had to read in order to know what the heck's going on here. And that's what I think leads to the whole fatigue, that it's a 7-part series that's truly 40, right? And yeah, it's not so fun when you feel obligated.
So I just thought of something, because DC has those the digests, right?
Those are amazing.
Wouldn't something like this work as a digest? Like when all is said and done, and you just collect DC the KO as a digest?
Probably. I mean, there's no real wrong way to read something like this. They're collecting like the main series, and they're doing a side book that has all like the sub fights, so you know kind of where everything goes. The beautiful thing about those books is that one, DC holds all the license; they don't have to pay anybody to print them smaller to lose profit margins on whatever it is they're doing.
Right.
They're super portable. The price point's amazing. They're a little bit like less quality in terms of paper or whatever they're doing, but for $13.50 Canadian, like you can't go wrong. It doesn't matter the size, but you can pick up New Frontier for $13.50.
Yeah.
Darwin Cook.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? The regular book is like $45. Like, it's a no-brainer. Even if I already have it, I'll buy two. I'll throw in people's stockings this Christmas. That's like one of my favorite DC books of all time.
And the thing about it too is it's got the size, it's the manga size, right? And that's what the kids are holding, and that's what it's almost like, you remember when like phones, different phone sizes were an issue. So if you had like, I'm aging myself, but you had a BlackBerry, and then you go out to the iPhone would say 4, and then it got bigger as the 6. And then if you had a 4, you felt shame because you didn't have the size of the 6. It's almost like those digests are the same thing, where it's like, okay, you have your regular standard size books, but everyone kind of uses, or like the younger generation is used to that size for their compilations. And so why not, cater to them as well too?
It's also heavily portable. I think that's the biggest thing. If you can shove it in your backpack, put it in, because especially everyone with like the cross body bags, if you can put it in something that size, whatever makes it accessible. And the other thing is, let's face it, it's also sometimes, it can be a hard economy, or kids don't have as much money or whatever. At the price point, it gets kids reading, man. Like, and that's the best 100%. Thing. If you want to read, I love that there's just like a gateway entry to read all the glorious like books that DC's put out at such an affordable price point. You're not gatekeeping it. You don't have to buy, the absolute, because that's the only way they're printing it, and drop $100, or this is out of print, or you can only get the $40 like regular edition. The fact that it's $13.50, it means that no one's going to look at something and be like, I'm not. No one hems and haws about these books. They're like, should I grab 2? That's about the most that people are really worried about.
Yeah,
honestly, that's what I see every day when people look at them, and everyone's like thumbing through, and they're like, you know what? Like, they look at the price, like, oh my god, I'm gonna take this home.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because we mentioned this a couple of live streams ago, but like, I'm gonna show. Let me see if I get this right. And this is like, what is it? The Pocket Digest or whatever.
Yeah.
And then these were like the first 6 issues of the Hulk. And where did I get these? The Scholastic Book Fair at my school, right? And so, like you said, you want to introduce new readers to classic stories. Like, I know they've done the reprints and stuff, but you can get all 6 in there. And I'm just gonna laugh because I think the price is on here somewhere. But I think these were like $2, right? Back in the day. I'm not even sure what the exchange rate would be, what the comparable thing for would be now. But you want people to be getting the best stories, like you said, the Darwin Cook, New Frontier, get it all collected, not be missing, I'm missing issue 5 and the story's incomplete, and they have a classic in their hands.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to compare this to, it's a weird comparison, but if you compare it to like the tech industry, right? Like, the people who buy floppies are your first adopters. They're going to pay the most out of anybody because they're going to pay whatever especially when you're talking about the variants and stuff like we were talking about earlier, they're going to pay $30 for a 24-page story, part of a story, right? At that point, for 24 pages. After you iterate so many times and you've sold through that first group of people, then you get to your trade that's going to be $20-30, right? And then finally, the people that would have never stepped into the store and all that, right? Those are the people that these digests are for. The ones, like Omar's saying, that are always like, I don't know, do I want it? But if you make it at the right price point, like these are, and it's like, you're getting a whole story, you're getting the entire story, beginning to end, give $13.50, done. Right, you make it almost you take away one of the biggest barriers, which is the price, right? So now you're getting those people that would have never come into the store, would have never bought these things, and it's a way to, again, it's the entry point. It's the kids who have lunch money coming in and getting a comic that they're gonna devour now and multiple times and all that, and you get a new comics fan, and hopefully you get them up that ladder to maybe they're buying trades when they have a little bit more money, and maybe they're buying weekly when they have a little bit more, right? But it's if you don't give them that entry point, like if you're telling them the only way in is you have to pay $6 a week, or a month rather, for this one series, and you're going to get it serialized over many months, right? That's not, if you're not brought up in it, if you're not used to it, that's a lot for people to swallow, right? Especially with manga and what everybody's used to there. At least in North America, it's serialized. In Japan, here we're used to getting everything already as volumes, right? We're getting 6 to 10 issues all at once. So this is what kids are being brought up on, and we're telling them, yeah, but in Japan they do it this way. So buy the single issues, right? That's not where we have to meet them where they're at. And I think these digest are exactly that, right? It's meeting these kids where they're at, which is they want the whole story and they want it at an affordable price. So
And the price point is the same as manga. That's the other thing.
Yes.
Most manga is between like $13 Canadian to like $15.99. So when your average North American trade is about $20, and that's on the lower end, then yeah, there's a big discrepancy. So I mean, there's a reason why kids are jumping into manga. It's not just, I think there is an affordability factor to it. It's not just the amount of exposure they have to it, but they can also get it readily and quickly and accessibly.
Yeah, exactly.
And Omar, from your perspective, what were some of the biggest trends that you're seeing in the industry?
Biggest trends in the industry? Blind bags is the number one thing that's everywhere. Everything's getting a blind bag. I know my Ultimate Endgame needs a blind bag, and there's a bunch of other books getting blind bags, but I order heavy on those because I know they're going to sell. And if they don't sell, someone will eventually get them. I've even seen indie creators and stuff like that. They're starting to do blind bags. I've seen artists do blind bags for art, and like they say they sell a lot of them because people just want that. It's that unknowing thing. So that's the biggest one. Blind bags are everywhere, folks, and they're not going anywhere for a while.
Sounds like I got to get into blind bags.
Adriano, I was thinking the same thing. It's like,
dude, you know what? Where it starts, subscription boxes were the blind bags of the past. Now it's blind bags. It's the same thing. You didn't know what you were going to get, but you're going to get something, and it's going to be this, and you're going to open it up, and you're going to be like, ooh, that's really cool. But people love that dopamine hit of not knowing and potentially getting something great. And like I said, that's why people watch other people open packs of cards. It's gambling in a very low stakes. Yeah. Other trends I've seen in the industry are definitely, again, the push for like those DC compacts has been massive. So I'm hoping, even, what is it? I'm just going to grab it up.
Yeah, I think Vault is doing them too. There's a few other that are starting to jump in, right? So
So here you go. Here's a good comparison. So Image just started to do them. Paper Girls just came out in a smaller format as well.
Cool.
This one's a little on the pressure side, but this is like your DC compact, so you're getting pretty much the same size. I don't know what my
Why the Last Man? Nice.
Yeah, so you're getting something like that, and then Marvel is just a little bit bigger than everybody else, but DC still got the better price point than everybody else, so they're still on the cheapest on the cheapest side for cost. But I think the only difference, I don't know, and this is what people ask me, is if DC is going to continue to do like a series, like will they do a Why the Last Man 2? I think the general answer for that is no, because this is your gateway into getting the bigger like books and like understanding if you enjoy the series or not. But those are the two biggest ones I think have been this year. The blind bags have just been like ridiculous. What's the other thing that I can say? If you're a comic book store and there's a Daniel Warren Johnson cover, order the hell out of that Daniel Warren Johnson cover or comic, because Absolute Batman Annual #1 was like the biggest sleeper hit. Like it already is a book that sells great, but then it just sold even better because of that. And people come in looking for that book a lot, and I always have to disappoint them and be like, "We sold out real fast."
Interesting.
Yeah, I got a question for you guys, because what is your biggest comic book hot take? Like something you think the industry needs to change, or in terms of like whatever's going on in comics, like what is your biggest hot take? Adriano inspired this question when he was talking about how like you're looking at series and they're just like propelling you into the next series, and you're never like finishing anything because every ending is a beginning to something else. It's like you go to the Marvel movie, and then you want to get to the end, the post-credit scene, and sometimes the post-credit scene is better than the whole movie that you saw because it hypes you up more than anything else, and that's the only thing you remember. So what's your hot take about stuff?
Who's going first?
Okay, I'll go with mine.
Okay.
Omar, don't hold this against me. I cannot stand new #1s for issues for like a series that's run for 40 years.
I don't disagree with you.
Like every 2 years, there's a new Daredevil #1. I'm like, what are you talking about? That annoys me. But I get it, because like even in Adriano, I'm sure you'll agree with me on this. Most of the time when you're going to crowdfund a book, your #1s are your best campaigns. The 2 and the 3 or the 4 that are after that in the same series don't hit as much. So I get it. Everyone, the collector market wants a #1. But me, I for mainstream books, I don't get it.
The secret is take the numbers off your books and just put subheadings. You'll sell way more. Because if you look at my shelf, all the #1s are gone, and all the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, everything else is still there. So if you have books, just take the numbers off.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a series that's like an anthology type thing, or you can jump in anywhere, never put numbers on it. Even the graphic novels, give them a subheading or something. Call them something.
Yeah.
I like that. It kind of goes with what I'm saying, which is going to be, I think continuity is overrated. I think Dan DiDio had it right when he wanted to do the 5G thing and say, you know what, throw it all out. We're gonna have our classic characters and our new characters, and we're just gonna try some stuff. I think we're so tied to the this never ending story and this and it's not. We constantly change it and we manipulate it, and the timeline in Marvel, the way it works, that it's like this sliding scale, and now Captain America is came around 9/11 and all that kind of stuff. Like it's too much. It's too much, and I think you could tell some great stories anyway without feeling tethered to continuity. I think you should just tell the story you want to tell, right? Everybody knows the characters, the version of the characters they like, and you can go shoot off in whatever direction. Like a lot of the books we were talking about tonight were books that are outside of continuity, are books that all the Darwin Cook stuff, all the greatest stories are rarely the ones that are tied to continuity anyway, right? And even if they are, they've manipulated something just to tell their story and move on. So I think the best thing to do is just use it when you feel like using it, and don't when you don't. Like, just tell the story. I feel like being so tied to it is holding people back more than anything, right? I know there's that the comic person in you that has to collect every single issue of something and the second you stop it, you lose them. So kind of Steve's point, like even doing the #1s, but there's people who are like, I have every issue of Daredevil, but you don't need to have it be the mainline Daredevil. You can have many stories of Daredevil, and that's not just for it's not the big two. It's the big two's problem, is what I'm trying to say. But you can see that it is successful when you look at all of the other publishers, because none of them are tied to this long form continuity. But again, the big two kind of, drive the ship. So, so I get that they're doing what they're doing because it's working, but we've seen that it could also work the other way. So I don't know. It's a big thing to throw out. And that's what makes it a hot take, I guess, is that it's never going to happen. But part of me's like, just decide, you know what, forget it, we're just going to tell stories with these characters and move on, right? And they're not tied to each other, or they are when I feel like it, and we're just going to tell cool stories, right? Without being worried about appeasing this or that, like the James Bond thing. Like, don't worry about it, just tell the damn story, right?
Well, it's kind of interesting because I think that, getting back to Bond, the greatest failure of the Daniel Craig era is that everything had to be connected. So like that. So Omar, you know all about scripts. Adriano, obviously you're a writer, so you're in the mix as well too. I cannot stand when the main villain went to public school with the hero, or was his teacher, right? Like, it's a big world, people.
So you hate Absolute Batman, is what you're saying?
Absolute Batman is a retelling, which is fine, right?
That's
like
fair.
because you're turning the expectations on its head, which is fine. But does the Riddler have to be at the same orphanage as Bruce? No. All that kind of stuff.
The shoehorned in things where they're trying to make the connections. I get that.
Yeah. It's almost like, because they want to one up you. It feels like like that's probably not what they're trying to do, but it feels like that, right? Where it's like, oh, you didn't know this, but they were actually friends the whole time. So everything you thought you knew is wrong, and it's that feeling that sucks.
I think it goes both ways, because it's like it's artificial conflict,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the, well, we're two sides of the same coin.
Yes.
I went left and you went right for whatever reason, but we were at the same orphanage, kind of thing. Or, this person was my professor. It worked for Spidey, for Miles Warren, I guess, but like, Doc Ock as well too, and all that stuff with the movies and stuff. I like it when, for me, it was with Bond, when Blofeld was his step brother or something. I was like, what? So if you know who Bond is, just kill him at home. Why just like, where he lives, who he is, just kill him at home when he's sleeping, he's going to get the paper, shoot him.
It's all about the pomp and circumstance, though.
Yeah, right. For sure.
Well, that's the fun of like a Lex Luthor, right? It's that there is no chance that these two knew each other. He hates them because he's here now, right? Like Lex would have lived his perfectly evil life uninterrupted had Superman not showed up, right?
although was it Silver Age Superman, where Lex and them were both from Smallville?
Yes, and he like blew out the fire on his hair or something like that. And that's why he lost his hair. So that goes closer to what you were talking about.
Yeah.
But
he has a crazy flow,
Yeah.
The Lex flow got destroyed. I feel you, Lex, because I have the same flow you have now.
That's what the hats are for.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna wrap this up soon, but I wanted to kind of delve into Secret Wars 2015, the Hickman one, and all the thing you're talking about, continuity, which is kind of like an interesting segue into it. Like the whole reason for that was basically to rebrand the Marvel Universe with getting the Ultimate Universe and the 616 together. What are your memories of that event?
Oh man, it's we were talking about too many crossovers. The Battle World crossovers, I think they were. That gave you all of the alternate versions, which, I mean, I haven't gone back to read it now, but I feel like if it, with the context of all of this, like we've been multiversed out, I feel like over the past few years, that might be. At the time, I was into it. At the time, it was silly fun, right? All the Thors and that, I think there were. So that was pretty cool. But nowadays, I don't know if I have the stomach for it. But yeah, it was, again, I can't remember how many issues it was, 7 or 8 or so, but it was all in. I think it was like 60 something issues. Again, don't quote me on any of that, but it was way up there, just to try to keep up. And you didn't have Marvel Unlimited and stuff that you could catch up and read the gaps like you can nowadays. You have to go find these issues, which good luck, right? You needed a second mortgage to keep up with that whole series. So storytelling wise, it was neat. I didn't love that they killed the Ultimate Universe for it. We got the Maker out of it, which was really cool. But outside of that, like we got one character out of it, and it was one big character out of it, and that was I don't know. Was it worth it? I don't know. But
well, we got an iconic Nick Fury out of it. So.
True. Yes. I forgot that was the overwrite, I guess. Yeah. Sync it up with the movies. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So Omar, did you read Hickman's?
I did. Yeah, I'm of two minds of this one, because one, I love when a creator can just kind of tell their story, and I think Hickman tells big stories. The thing about Secret Wars, especially, even if you read Infinity, was the same thing. You had to be reading all 3 Avengers books at the same time to get the full story. But that's because he was telling a very multi-layered story. So within the way Hickman writes, it's a story that makes a lot of sense. The Battle World stuff and all that, like I'm only looking at like the core of it, not like the extra stuff. And yes, when you're reading Secret Wars, there are certain parts where it would make more sense if you are reading the Battle World things. I was a big fan of the Ultimate Universe. It felt like, and all the later stuff in the Ultimate Universe, everyone's like it got into a creative slump, but I thought they were going some really interesting ways, like the Nick Spencer, Sam Humphries stuff. It was so different. Even the introduction of the Maker and like the way they did that with his own world with the Zorns and everything. It was very unique and very different. It's when they try to like run that line that was like, it's so close, but it's just different enough. Like when Jeff Loeb got on the book, and then Thor had the same hammer from the 616 universe, and like when you start to take away all the unique aspects of your books, I think that's where people started to kind of dislike what they were doing. Like I didn't mind. I like what Ultimatum did. I didn't like the way it happened, but I can appreciate that they wanted to change everything up, and that's why they created that universe, was to be able to tell different stories, get out of, ironically, they wanted to get away from continuity, yet built their own continuity. But you were able to jump in. There was less issues to read, and it was a retreading of everything, so you could tell it's like the absolute universe. And I mean, the new Ultimate Universe is also kicking ass. Like I don't know how they're going to end it, but again, it's also Hickman. He's got a big vision for everything that they're doing. But for Secret Wars, like I said, if you're reading the core series, I think you did get overall like a good story from everything, and like he very much told up. But you did have to be reading multiple books to get those things. Yes, you got Miles in the 616. You got the Maker. I loved Ultimate Spider-Man. I think that was one of my favorite Spider-Man stories that they told, like through all the way through to Miles. I think they were doing a great job and really building characters that felt like people, which I think is really important. But again, going back to, I don't know, like Hickman does this thing where he can take really obscure characters and do really weird things with them, and that's a book that really shows someone who knows how to play in this sandbox and use the tools, but does it in like a very intellectual way. I find Secret Wars at times is like a very intellectual comic book for superhero crossovers with everything it's doing, and it takes Doom to some really interesting places. And again, you get some really cool iconography, like Doom ripping out Thanos' spine and the White God Doom, and Miles giving a hamburger to the Molecule Man, and that's what kind of brought him into 616, because he was just nice and happened to have a pocket hamburger from when he got sucked into this on the rift, which I think is like the best story plot device. Is just like, it's a hamburger.
Yes, and the way that Peter's like, how long have you had that hamburger? Like, really? Maybe it's a McDonald's hamburger because they don't degrade, apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah. What we've learned is more heroes need pocket hamburgers. It's really Batman 66 of him, where he just has like.
For sure. Well, I'm gonna play just an excerpt from the interview that I did for our podcast with Ellie Pyle, and she gives a tidbit because they're compiling kind of like a behind the scenes book for Secret Wars. So it's going to be 11 by 17. It's an art book, but they're interviewing all of the creatives from writers all the way down to letterers, and getting the inside kind of like inside baseball, inside comics on not only just the genesis of it, but also the production. It's almost like how the comic book sausage is made. But I had a great time chatting with her. So let me pull this one up here.
So hearing the stories about how folks navigated that, one of the fun facts I've been sharing is that issue 2 of Secret Wars was actually written and drawn before issue 1. Because when you're doing a huge event like this, all those offices need reference. They need to know, if you're creating a new universe, what that looks like. And that's important to know sooner than knowing how the Marvel universe ends, because everybody already knows what Earth 616 looks like. So Jonathan and Esad had to kind of front load that second issue so that every other office could have reference for Battleworld.
Which is kind of interesting, because when you think of like making a movie, it's usually shot out of sequence, right? So a miniseries like this is kind of produced the same way, where either you need information, or with movies it's like locations. You can only get locations for a certain amount of time, and I'm sure that also went into production of like the intricacies of the production of the miniseries as well too. Do you have any like kind of like tidbit stories, without giving away a little bit too much, of like how everyone was kind of able to work around that?
Just that kind of, again, getting that second issue done first, and then being able to distribute that to the different offices so that folks could kind of see what they were working with. My understanding is that the rest of the main book was drawn in sequence, which is pretty normal when you're working with one artist. Where you find things very often happening out of sequence is, like, for example, I worked on Spider-Man for a bunch of years and we were shipping twice a month. So we would have 3 artists working at once, and Dan Slott was writing scripts all over the place, part of this arc, part of that arc, just to kind of, because comics are a giant machine, and rule number 1 is keep everybody working. So, that does dictate the process a lot more than I think people realize, that your number 1 job is to make sure you're not the reason someone else can't work. Being able to make sure that you kind of keep things moving in that way.
And
So that interview is up on our website, on our YouTube channel, and so if you want to get more of the inside baseball on it, and they had to actually, she didn't get into it too much, but she said she's going to put it into the book, where Esad was like, these deadlines, man, these deadlines.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's very different for artists and writers, though. At least like when you have the script done, it's like you're just like, I'm good, you can do the thing, and then the artists have to do their thing.
The sweat equity is not, it's not the same.
Yeah, but I will say, I that hit home with me, to keep everybody working, because I got 2 artists waiting for scripts from me. So I know that feeling, and I just sent one to the 3rd, and they're all like, come on, dude, like you said we're gonna do this series. I'm like, yeah, I thought I'd be faster at getting you scripts, my bad. So I get that sentiment for sure.
Yeah. And with regards to behind the Marvel behind the panels Secret Wars, that's actually up on Kickstarter. So and they're fully funded, so there's no chance that it's not going to come through. So if anyone's interested in picking that up and is a Secret Wars fan, or even wants to see the kind of like the inside workings of how you put together not only just a comic book, but a company wide and a company redefining miniseries, that's definitely something to check out. But Omar, bring it back to you. For those of us who weren't maybe joined on in the beginning, tell us once again about your writer's room.
All right, so starting September 26th, we start at 7 p.m. We're starting a writer's room here in our shop at Newmarket. We have 4 spots left for our course at the moment. This is our pilot project. The course is going to run for 8 weeks. We take a 2-week sabbatical for the holidays, but we're doing a writer's room from pitch to pages. It's where accountability meets creativity. And we just want to get people in. We want to use a resource that we have, which is our education. Like, I come from a writing background. My partner in crime here for Wayside Creative, Allison, she also comes from a publishing and writing background. She writes a lot of books as well. And we just want to give people an opportunity to create, especially during these slower months when everyone, kind of recesses a little bit. And yeah, just get people creative and working on things and using our resources and the amazing network of friends and creators that we've developed to give people a resource to, really put something out there and create something, and also help them along their journey. And it's not just going to be us. We're going to bring people in for the different sessions. So again, always a new set of eyes. But yeah, having people read your stuff, writing things, learning the pitch process, learning a little bit more about publishing and like where to go. We're going to run the whole gamut over those 8 weeks.
That sounds amazing. And so the 26th is that a Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday, yeah. So we run from Wednesday from tentatively like 7 to 10. It's going to be about 3 hours that we're going to be doing it. Again, we're not filling up with as many people as possible because we want to make sure everybody has time to do it. But this will be our pilot for it. If things go well, we will continue to do it. We want to continue to do it regardless. But it just means like if we can figure out kind of the how big the class sizes should be and how many we can do. Because maybe, if we have somebody else who's interested in running one, we could do a couple in tandem and fill that in a little bit more. And again, we want to build to having more seminars and workshops for all aspects of focusing more on like creating comics, really. So, arts, lettering. We want to do a thing by animation. We want to do get people coming in to talk about self-pub and Kickstarter, just whatever resources, somebody has, if they want to come in and talk about it or their experiences and kind of educate the next generation of people who are looking to learn. That's what we want to do. We want to create that think tank experience and bring in all the creatives that we've met and really provide, I think, a resource that we don't necessarily have around us all the time. And the other part of that is that we also, and this goes back to what Adriana was saying about like CreatorCon that we ran, is we do want to do a seasonal mixer for creatives. So have people come up to the shop, and because people usually meet up around con season, but what's happening before or after is also very important.
Mm-hmm.
So if whether you're a new writer or a new artist, coming out and just talking to people and building those connections, and maybe connecting with a writer and artist that you maybe want to work with, I think that's always an important thing. So just having a space, again, our space lends itself to that, and if we can host these things and maybe inspire somebody to keep working, or somebody gives somebody an idea that leads to something else, or Adriano's advice about this Kickstarter leads to somebody, being like, oh, that's really smart. I haven't tried that yet. It's all that kind of thing. That's what we want to grow naturally, is really motivate people and push people, but also bring people together and really create a community around it.
Yeah, I think community is the big thing. It's something that Adriano and I are trying to get working down here as well too. And I think the more people that you have kind of connected, the easier it is to not only just share information, but also to like achieve your goals.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
It takes a village. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it saves you from the trial and error personally, right? Like you can learn from someone else's mistakes. We don't all have to make the same mistakes over and over, right? So the only way you're going to do that is if you're all in the same room talking about, what I did that didn't work. Maybe you can avoid this mistake that I've made, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Well, here's something that worked for me. You try it, right? Like if you really want to level up, the best way to do it is getting in a room with other people who've done it already, right? So
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. I think this is a great initiative, and I'm excited. I really hope it works out, because I'd love to see more.
And where can people sign up? Do they go to your website? Is it the Instagram page? What's the best way?
They can either you can send us a DM through Instagram, wayside.comics, or you can shoot us an email at waysidecomics@gmail.com. Like I said, we have 4 spaces left for this particular writer's room, but we're working with Jason Lapidus to also do a big art series as well.
Nice.
For instruction. Jason does stuff for Group of 7 Comics. He's the artist there. So we're slowly growing and really want to push this initiative. We want to be more than just a comic shop. And we already have a bar, which is great. And it creates community and it lets people talk and have a good time, which is why, again, loans itself to that. But we really want to push the education part of it, because, again, I don't think there's enough spaces where this sort of information flows freely, more than just con season or getting in a room with certain people. So we want to be that place where you can come by, have a drink, talk to other people, be like, oh, cool, there's a seminar about lettering. Awesome. There's a seminar about animation. I've always wanted to try animation. That's not something I didn't know you could do that over here. So we're hoping to kind of break down some mental barriers people have, and also the most important part is just keeping people creative, even if it's not like what you want to do for a living. If it's not, like, comics are passion. At the end of the day, like, nobody gets it. This is going to sound horrible, but from what I've heard from everyone I've talked to, you don't necessarily get into comics to make money. It's a passion project. Mm-hmm. It's when you've put in the work and you've got the books out and you've created a little library for yourself, or you've done that. But that's when, it starts to change a little bit. But your start in the industry is a labor of love. It's the same in the film business. You're paying a lot of dues and you're just doing it because you want to do it. So why not do it in an environment where people want to push you and elevate what you're doing and show you what mistakes you should, that we've made, that, like Adriana was saying, learn from somebody else, talk to other people. So I think that's the main goal here. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm really happy that you're doing that. I think it's an amazing service for the comic book community, and anyone that is in the Newmarket area or in the outer regions. You need to go to Wayside. It is an amazing venue. Omar and his peeps are amazing. Great space. You're going to enjoy being there. And if you want to be a writer, You got 8 weeks waiting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, putting pages out, it's as a writer, it's the best thing you can do. And like we're gonna take you from pitch to pages. So join us
That's
if you're
awesome.
interested, because it's gonna be a hell of a fun course. And we got a lot of like great guest speakers lined up to be a part of this course too. So
Sounds great. And Adriano, when do you got cooking?
What do I got cooking? Oh, I got a Kickstarter launch today.
Nice.
I got a
Nice.
Kickstarter. It's for a book. It's not for a comic. It's for a book of short stories. It's already funded. It funded in 7 minutes, believe it or not.
There you go.
Did really well. Yeah, the funding goal is lower than expected, but that said, it did really well. So we're funded. It's happening. It's called Big Smoke Pulp, Volume 2. So if you go on Kickstarter, search up Big Smoke Pulp, you're gonna find it. Right now we're at 59 backers, about $2,700. So
That's
pretty good for
amazing.
day one. 12 hours in. So yeah, I'm not complaining. There's still 30 days to go, and there's Black Friday deals if you want to get for the digital stuff. We got audiobooks and EPUBs and all that. But yeah, about 40 short stories from 40 authors. The first one did really well. You can pick up that too if you want to check that out. So yeah, doing a little prose stuff to take a break from the comics until I come out with way too many comics next year. If you're interested in that, check out the Substack, pestocomics.com. You can get to all of it. But yeah, big plans for next year, but we're ending it with this series of short stories, and it seems to be doing very well. So I'm very happy.
All right, perfect. And I'm going to put all the links in the description to this video. So anyone who's watching this, you'll be able to see what Omar's doing and what Adriano's doing. And hopefully Omar will get his workshop completely filled up, and Adriano will get some more people on the Substack.
For sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I always mention Wayside on the Substack. It's like once every 4 weeks. So I do love it there. I'm not blowing smoke. I love going there. Yeah. If it were just a smidge closer, I'd be there every day. But
thanks for the love, guys. I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say.
No, it's all good. Well deserved. Well deserved. It's a great spot. So everyone, good night. It was awesome talking comics with everyone here. Everyone who was watching, really appreciate it as well too. Omar, Adriano, looking forward to the next time, and hopefully it won't be digitally; it'll be in the flesh.
Right on.
Thank you so much for the invite, Steve.
Anytime. You guys take care, and see you on the other side.
Thank you.